So welcome. March the 2nd. Yesterday in the UK was St. David's Day on March the 1st. And St. David is the patron saint of Wales. And something in my bones told me that perhaps before Christianity took hold of Great Britain, on the 1st of March, there was probably some pagan god or goddess or some wise, some bard that we looked up to and sought wisdom from. And it could be that Merlin was highly thought of on this day, on March the 1st. And Merlin has sort of connotations with magic and myth and mysticism and all those things. Or it could be goddess Rhiannon. So prior to St. David, there was probably a whole bunch of mythical creatures and pagan gods that were worshipped on that day. And the day before was February the 29th, the leap year, every 4 years. I wonder what you did on that day. And I wonder whether your body is still adjusting to this extra day. I feel that whatever saint or gods or goddesses have been worshipped on March the 1st in all the cultures and countries of this world, what does feel true, or what felt true for me, is that there was a shift, a subtle shift in my body and in my bones. I could feel spring coming. So wherever you are, if it's summer for you, sure enough, at some point, spring will come round again. So why am I talking about this? What is this about? It feels to be something about certainty within uncertainty. So the certainty is that every year at springtime, wherever you are in the world, the buds on the trees, the flowers, snowdrops, crocuses, daffodils, all of those things will start to slowly resurface, reawaken. So that's a certainty, just as certain as the daylight coming back, the sun rising, the sun setting. It's the kind of backdrop of everything else that's very uncertain and unknown. In that way, nature can really provide us with a sense of grounded stability, certainty. Ocean waves keep rolling in. The full moon every 28 days or so. There's a sort of circular repeating pattern. Something we can dip in to if we choose. So just notice as we touch on nature, what happens to you? Your nature too. Joni Mitchell famously sang that we are stardust. She wasn't wrong. As you take your next breath, see if you can really maybe appreciate the fact that your lungs are in some way made of far away, distant lands. And yet they're here. And again, there's that certainty about the breath and the heart, quietly ticking away, quietly breathing without us having to do anything about it. It's always here. So nature knows what she is doing. There's that lovely Lao Tzu quote that says, nature doesn't hurry and yet everything is accomplished. How on earth can we replicate this with our human lives? Just really tune into that quote. Nature doesn't hurry and yet everything is accomplished. With our to-do lists, the tasks that we have to get through, the washing, the cooking, the cleaning, trying to get to appointments on time. How on earth do we not hurry? And if we don't hurry, can things get accomplished anyway? So as you sit with this question here, let's see if we can first attend to the body. This lover, body is your lover, the only one true love that's by your side through this journey of being a human on planet Earth. See if you can take in a more spacious, embodied, rich, nourishing breath into the lungs. Maybe this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are right now. Maybe you've worked very hard and accomplished many things. And now you're reaping the benefits of just sitting, being, luxuriating in your own breath. Even if there are tasks to attend to after this Zoom call, is it possible to allow yourself to simply be in this moment? And take care to take up a very comfortable posture for your body. Even if that means snuggling down on the couch, stretching out on the bed. You might need to do gentle movements to release any tension in the body. And whatever posture you land in, I would like to ask this question: who is holding that posture? Which part of you is in your neck? Which part of you is in the shoulders? Through the lens of IFS, often the manager parts very much inhabit the neck, the shoulders. With a sort of permanent sense of doership in the mind. So just notice which parts of you are currently expressing their control in various parts of your body. And compare right side with left side. This invitation has nothing to do with changing or trying to get rid of these managers, these parts of us. It's just noticing. And allow yourself to make sounds. Yawning, stretching, sighing, humming. Hissing, growling. How do these parts sound? The ones in the neck, in the shoulders, in the head. Let's move one down. Who inhabits your heart, your chest, your lungs? In Chinese medicine, the heart, the lungs are very much linked with grief. Sorrow, loss. But also compassion. So notice how it's never really one or the other, it's always both and. Let's just pause here in the chest, in the center of the chest. This is the spiritual heart. Let's attune to the desires, the needs. If you can ask internally, what do you need? Specifically aiming the question into the chest. So see if you can ask that question a few more times and notice what answer comes back. What do you need as you cast your gentle, loving awareness into the chest? And occasionally we can notice that parts have quite immediate needs. Maybe there's a need for food, for rest, for a shower. Maybe there's a need with help around the house. A kind of practical needs. And then there's emotional, spiritual safety needs. Like we want to be held, want to be dear to someone, want to matter. Want to be seen. Heard. But maybe a very specific need. Maybe you've been saving up money for a holiday. Maybe parts need a holiday. Or maybe you've been saving up money to buy a new car. Or maybe the boiler needs fixing. Notice how all the needs are important in a way. We can't really order them. So if you need a shower, you need a shower. If you need a boiler, you need a boiler. If you need to feel safe and held, then you need to feel safe and held. Notice how each need doesn't offset the other. They're very sacred. Is it possible to allow yourself to cherish even the what might be called trivial needs? What is trivial to one part might be vitally important to another. So notice how there's no hierarchy of needs really. Each part has its own unique vantage point of view. You might notice that even the so-called trivial needs are somehow linked to the essence of being. being in the present, being here and now. Being accepted and welcomed and loved, just as is. And see if you can notice that as you're attending and listening to one part's needs, that doesn't somehow invalidate or get rid of the other part's needs. They're all there. And the essence of the need, which is the beingness, is already permanently met within self. If we were to distill each need down to its essence, even the so-called trivial needs, to have a shower, to eat food, to have enough rest, to exercise. If we distill that need down to its very essence, it's just pure beingness, that which you already are in self, as self. Doesn't take away the fact that we still have to eat and the boiler needs fixing and we need to go to work to earn money and go on holiday and buy a new car. Notice that the fact that you're already exist in this essence of beingness doesn't take away the ordinary human needs. It's just that the basic essence of that need is already satisfied. That's all that means. It's a little bit like when John Kabat-Zinn, when I first got into mindfulness, what was helpful was when he said, so long as you're breathing, there's more right with you than wrong with you. So long as you're satisfying the very basic function of breathing, you're already doing very well indeed. And this is the same thing here. The very essence of every need is already here, satisfied, fulfilled fully. Without taking away anything at all. I think this is why we're human beings, because our beingness is already qualified, is already here, present. And we have things to do, and that's perfect. So the question here is it possible to meet your needs with that foundation of beingness? That undeniable intimacy with self that is here. I think this is what Lao Tzu's talking about when he says nature doesn't hurry and yet everything is accomplished. You could argue that nature is already in self. In fact, it is self. So long as we are able to perceive and know ourselves as this beingness, everything is done for us. A river doesn't have to try hard to be a river, it just flows. So it's as though everything falls into place a little bit, everything flows a little bit easier. And this is what in IFS we call self-leadership. Some people struggle with the word leadership. How can self be a leader? But the leadership, I think, here is meant as in Wu Wei, the effortless action. So that when we're in self, we're flowing with the current of life. And again, we have another paradox here: effortless action. How can action be effortless? How can self be a leader? This is this both and. How come I'm a human being and yet I appear to be doing? And both are true. Neither one offsets the other. The answer is always both. And so in amongst the needs that maybe you've tuned into in the center of your chest, whatever they are, is it possible that at some level, at the essential level, all those needs are already met? And this might be a bit of a strange thing to have said. How can, let's, for example, here take you needing to have a shower. How is that need at some level already met? Let's ask that question. What do you need a shower for? Oh, some answers could be to be clean, to feel good, to feel refreshed, to feel cleansed, so that you can be out in the world. And what do we need that for? Well, we want to matter. We want to feel like we are loved. We want to feel good. And what does feeling good give you? Well, when I feel good, I know that I'm me. I'm fully me. When I feel good, I'm present and I enjoy life. I can relax and just be. Ah, There we go. At the end of that need to have a shower, there's really an essence of just beingness, just being. And we sort of go about it back to front a little bit. We forget that beingness is native, is primal, is already here, can't be taken away. But we sort of climb out of beingness and then sort of work our way back to it. So being is who we are before anything else. So whilst being is native and primal, it can become obscured by parts, burdens, just like the sun can be obscured by clouds. And if you go far enough in, if you ask enough questions, why do you need this? What is this giving you? How is this helping you? If you keep going back and back and back and peeling the onion layers, eventually you'll come at your essence, at your core, at your beingness, that which you are effortlessly. You might say that it takes effort to not to be. We sort of get in our own way a little bit. We block our own sun. This isn't meant as a negative. It's just the nature. It's just the nature of what it means to be human. Now, being and doing are two sides of the same coin. And so sometimes people get into this funny little situation where they figure out that doing is what's causing problems. So they try to stop doing. How can we stop doing? Isn't attempting to stop doing a form of doing? So the best we can do is see that being and doing are not separate from each other, just like the surface need is not separate from the essence of the need, which is beingness. It's all just one. So there's something here about balance, and there's something here about tuning into already having that which you seek. Doesn't mean we give up doing fully. It's being able to attend to this world, to our own life, with the knowing of the essence of beingness. It's sort of, we were very attentive, loving midwife of our own life. And just before we close, there's just a final thought that's coming through here, and it's this. When I say life, what I really mean is lifing. It's a verb. Nature is a verb. Weather is a verb. Humans are a verb. We try to give things sort of labels and nouns and proper nouns, but really it's all just a unfolding, lifing, experiencing. We never cross the same river twice. Just as the inner world is perpetually unfolding in a constant state of flux, as it has been for the past 40 minutes or so. Did your inner world at any point freeze? Or did the thinking, feeling, sensing just carry on? Sometimes we say we got lost in a part. Does that mean that the rest of the parts froze? The rest of the world carried on just as normal as the rest of your inner world carried on just as normal. There's something here about balance, about knowing your essence as beingness, and finally about lifing, experiencing, unfolding. Yeah. You're more like a river than a noun. You're more like the weather than a label. This is what this is who your brothers, who your siblings, your fathers, your mothers, this nature, this lifing, this perpetual flux. So the very fabric, the very essence of your being is closer to the trout in the river than any label, any noun you can write upon a piece of paper. This is how intimate you are with all things, all creatures. So as we draw to a close here with this meditation, see if you can just send a note of gratitude to all the parts, especially the ones that we've attended to in your chest, in the shoulders, in the neck. And gratitude to beingness, that golden thread that runs through every being. Gratitude to that. And see if you can start to come back to this, whatever's present for you, whatever space you're in, whatever sounds are here, on the inside, on the outside, traffic, people, lifing going on. Thank you so much for joining.